everyone. Welcome back to Like a Boss. So we're super excited today because we've got a superstar, Promise Phelon. She is the Silicon Valley growth warrior, and she's here to talk to us as one of the underdogs and one of the 0.2% club of Silicon Valley who's had enormous success raising more than 100 million in capital. She's a serial entrepreneur, and she's here today with us. Hey, Promise.
Hey, Loralyn. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're so excited. We want to hear all about the growth warrior. So what stage is your company at?
Yeah, well, that's exciting. Growth Warrior is a couple of years old, but it was born out of a desire to take that 0.2% status and really extend that so that there are more people who can say they've been funded and backed and have been successful in Silicon Valley. So we're a couple of years old, and it's a mentoring company that I run that helps entrepreneurs and founders essentially get conditioned for venture funding and for scale of their companies.
So tell us a little bit about the growth warrior with respect to what you're seeking. Are you currently in a fundraising round, if you can comment, or are you seeking partnerships, both? Tell us about that.
So my background is I spent most of my career as a Silicon Valley venture-backed CEO. And so I started the Growth Warrior in 2018, really from, passion, Loralyn, for entrepreneurs and for that 2% number to grow. And so we do research, we create content, we have master classes and courses. And most recently, I've written a book called The Way of the Growth Warrior, which essentially outlines the 7 skills and the 7 sort of strategies that entrepreneurs can use to win in any environment. And so right now we're looking for, I would say, we're looking for partnerships, and we're looking for entrepreneurs to take that book and really run with it.
Ooh, well, we're going to come back to that book a little later in the podcast. But right now, let's go back to the vision that you're painting. If you imagined a different world, what does it look like, Promise?
Well, it's a world where, great question, where more diversity exists inside of Silicon Valley and inside of entrepreneurial circles. And so I want to be part of helping more people who are underdogs, and that's people of color, women, LGBTQ, the military, folks over 40, young folks, really get into the game. And so I would love to look out over Silicon Valley, Silicon Alley, Silicon Mountains, what have you, and just see much more diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Now, I've seen some of the testimonials of the folks who have learned the way of the growth warrior, but maybe our audience isn't aware. So can you tell us a little bit about how you're changing lives of the underdog entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thank you. So my dream in all of this, Loralyn, is I want there to be, this 0.2% number that we all talk about basically is the fact that very few people actually get through the process of coming to Silicon Valley, working in tech, raising money, building companies, gaining venture capital, and having an exit. It's so small when it comes to people who look like me. And so, our mission is to really, condition entrepreneurs and the process. So I work with VCs as well and investors to really get in there and change this from all perspectives. And what I want to do is I want people to read the book and to take the courses and to read the content and just feel more confident that they can crush this process and they can run their dream companies and they can create the successes. Like I love companies like Snowflake that, went public for $1 gazillion this week. I'd love for there to be companies that were run by underdogs that have, the same kind of profile.
So I'm hearing like the encouragement, the support. That's a really good segue into the next question, which are the things that make you a good leader. Can you tell us about those?
I've been leading for a while. So I think there are a couple different types of leadership and stages of leadership. And so part of being a good leader is knowing what kind of leadership is required. When you're leading an organization or an industry from the inside, you want to be someone who is, at least in my experience, who's humble and who is willing to take others along, who doesn't weaponize, the realities of where we are. And so I feel like I'm a leader in Silicon Valley, as someone who is like the traditional VCs has been successful, but who also wants to inspire and invoke change. And so leading from the inside requires taking other people with you. I feel like as a leader of investors and a leader of companies, I I need to stand for things. So I want to stand for diversity and inclusion. I want to stand for, creating value for my investors. I want to stand for things, but I also want to, again, going back to the humble word, I want to be on a pilgrimage with. And so what I've encouraged my teams, and this is a realization, as I've, evolved my leadership, is that it's not about a messianic form of leadership. It's really about being on a pilgrimage with your team so that you're learning, growing, and evolving together.
Thomas, what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do?
Wow. Yeah. So getting into
There's a
the
few, right? We've all had a few
0.2%.
by this stage. Yeah.
Well, I mean, becoming part of the 2%. I did an interview a couple weeks ago, and the person asked me, how do you think you've gotten into this club? And I would say it's just some hard work and just wanting it bad enough. I think of each of these experiences. I mean, this comes back to the whole idea of the growth warriors, that if you're in it for success, it's going to be hard to get to those milestones. But if you're in it for the growth and the spiritual evolution and expansion, it's much easier, right? And so I look at all these experiences in, my career and in my personal relationships and in my network as just being, this is why I came here. This is Earth School, on so many levels. Yeah, I don't see this as hard. I actually love my job, and I love that I get to be part of, the exclusive club of 2.2%. But also I love the idea that I chose this, right? And it's not about difficult, it's about growth and about the journey.
You can hear so much of that background that you have in religious studies from South Methodist University and then your MBA at Pepperdine. That's all coming through. So let's move that, right? And try to understand how you've parlayed that now. Maybe I'm answering the question for you, but what would you say gives the growth warrior a competitive edge?
Yeah, so I think a lot about this, right? So the competitive edge that the growth warrior has is really simple. So let me simplify it into three things. One is this is not coaching. Like, I don't believe in coaching. I believe coaching has its place. But for what I want to do and what I want to accomplish, I really am a mentor. And so a mentor is different than a coach. A mentor has actually been where you want to go. So I have the experience. I have the experience helping and supporting others. And I have the connections that are required to get someone who has a great idea into a meeting with a top VC. Yesterday, I sat down here. I'm in Dallas on a business trip. And I sat down with one of my mentees, Loralyn, and she is a dope entrepreneur and is looking to raise her seed round. And we called 20 investors that I know who picked up the phone on the first or second ring. And that is what I'm able to offer the people who come through the Growth Warrior, is that real-time connection, is that currency that I've built.
Ask you to share your best tip for the next generation of women in tech. You queued that up so well.
What is my recommendation for the next generation in tech? Dang, that's good. Be on the pilgrimage, actually be. One of the things that I see with young entrepreneurs that I love is that a lot of their businesses are purpose built. And you know me, like I eat that up. That's just great. So let's do more of that. And I want to see more of taking people with you. So, as you're building your cohort of colleagues and friends, I mean, I did it. Make sure that that group of people is diverse, is inclusive, is unique, because that will be a reflection of your success. The people that you're surrounding yourself with are going to help you. And if they all look, sound, think, vote like you, we're all missing out on an opportunity.
Now, I promised you I was going to come back to your book. So, opportunity for shameless plug. Most of our podcasts do it. I mean, this is part of what it's for, right? I see from your website that The Way of the Growth Warrior is coming out soon. Maybe you want to give us another little message or two about the book and what readers can expect if they read it?
Well, what readers can expect if they buy it now There is a buy one, get one. So go to our website, thegrowthwarrior.com. And if you don't, see the buy one, get one there, which you should be able to do right now as we're in pre-order, you can also send an email to admin@thegrowthwarrior.com or to me, promise at the Growth Warrior, and we make sure that you get that link because we'd love to have you not only benefit from those 7 skills, but give that book and give that gift to someone that you love and and you're supporting. So yeah, I mean the biggest takeaway is that I've been writing this book for I feel like forever, but I think that's what every author feels. I
Absolutely.
chose right. I mean, you've written books before. I
Yep.
chose to write this less as a memoir about my life and more into distilling what you can do and how you can affect change immediately in your career. And so it really boils down to 7 incredible skills, everything from being able to tell your story. I mean, have you ever talked to someone and you say, hey, what's your background? And they give you this boring chronology of what they've done? No one cares. But a warrior story is something that you use to connect deeply and emotionally with someone else. And so that is, one of the first skills all the way through sizing markets, strategizing for growth, figuring out what your leadership style is, and ending with how to raise capital and how to build your company for an exit. So I cover this entire gamut of these 7 skills that literally, if you do them, not only will you be more wealthy, but your life will be more sweet.
Now, just for our listeners, I did connect with people on your team, Promise, before the show. And if they go to the website, thegrowthwarrior.com, and use the coupon code podcast, all capitalized, they can get a buy one, get one. So just let our listeners
Oh,
know.
I'm
All
glad
right.
someone's on it.
Oh, we
Thank
are
you.
all on top of all of this.
Thank you.
Now, if I gave you a magic wand and said, you get to change one thing from your past, what would be different?
Oh my goodness, that's a phenomenal question. Um, I, and I don't really have regrets, but I had the honor of being mentored by Bill Campbell, who was the former, VP of marketing, CMO at Apple, former CEO of Intuit, and he took me under his wing. And I would say I miss him very much. He passed away about 5 years ago. I would say the thing that I would do would be to spend more time in his presence. And he's a mentor that really changed my life and everything about it. And so that's one thing that I would do. I would go back and those long conversations and those preaching moments I would delve more deeply into because there are very few people on this earth who are like or who've had the impact of the coach, Bill Campbell. And so that is probably what I would do. Yeah,
And that's so key, right? We don't get second chances in life ever. I mean, on all
ever.
levels, right? Not just with amazing opportunities like that to be mentored by someone as renowned as Bill. Okay, now you've been working hard through this whole podcast, so we're going to wrap it up with an easy peasy question. All right, you ready?
I
So,
love easy questions. Give it to me.
if your shoe style was your
Hmm,
personality, are you a boots, stilettos, sneakers, flats, or flip flops kind of gal?
definitely stiletto. No doubt. Accentuated, right?
With rhinestones and
uh,
stuff on them.
with
I love them.
rhinestones. My
Encrusted heels.
I love it. I have two pairs of shoes. Three. I have 3 pairs of shoes that I love. So I have a pair of really beautiful leather boots that I got, oh my God, literally 10 years ago that I have resold now like 15 times. I bought them in Verona, Italy, from a professional boot maker, and I just love these boots. They have like this beautiful maroon bottom, and they're pointy and just exquisite, handmade. And so those are my favorite pair of shoes. Number 2 are a pair of 4-inch heels, camo, green and blue heels that are totally embellished with maybe some stones are on those. I don't remember exactly. No, the heels have stones, and they're my second favorite. Always worn with jeans. And my third is a pair of calf-high cheetah print. Okay, dark cheetah print,
Woohoo.
uh, vegan boots that I bought about 2.5 years ago. So I do love shoes, and these have a 3-inch heel, and they're really cute. And yeah, so don't get me talking about shoes. It's my
See,
thing.
everybody's got a shoe story. They may struggle with a warrior story, but we all have a shoe story.
Amen. It's an awesome question.
All right, Promise. We're going to wrap things up here. And thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us. We wish you tremendous success with the launch of your book, The Way of the Growth Warrior. We'll be watching out for that. And our listeners can use that coupon code podcast to buy one, get one. All the best of luck. Thank you so much, Promise.
All right. Thanks so much, Loralyn. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?